from the beginning of creation, the beginning of the Big Bang, we are in a process, right? This is where time begins. Scientists agree with this too. Time begins about 14 billion years ago. What actually starts, we don't understand it without the wisdom of Kabbalah. What actually starts 14 billion years ago is a process of the whole of creation going back to a state of oneness. That's the
Returning.
weird thing. Yeah, going back, turning back. Yeah, that's
Returning.
the returning. Yes, exactly. That is what's so weird to get your head around, because it seems to us that the Big Bang is an explosion. Everything is expanding. You have the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy is always increasing, right? Disorder, chaos. On the other hand, look at biological systems, and what you see is order. You see limitations on and directions over the atoms and molecules that direct them into and regulate their organization so they can build new and more complex organisms and new and more complex levels of life. So that's not so much entropy, is it?
Darwin said, okay, everything started at a point and it's developing through survival of the fittest and different things, and it's surviving in a certain direction. Comes the Kabbalist and says, he points to the end of the show, and he says that
Mm-hmm.
everything is developing to reach this end. It's not starting here in order, and just moving through time this way. The Kabbalist says, here's already where it's heading, and now I'm going to explain how it got there and how it reaches there.
Right.
It's like
So
looking at something from two different perspectives.
so as long as we're in this process of the material universe, gradually the creation that is separated, gradually returning to oneness, creating more and more complex connections and becoming gradually consciously connected as one again, until that happens, we feel that we are separated from that state. That sense of separation puts us in a constant lack, in a constant deficit. And while we don't know exactly what that sensation is, and it's hard for us to put the finger on it, what we experience is the passing of time, because we are distant from our state of oneness, which means also distant from the fulfillment that we crave, from that sense of connection and eternal bliss that we long for. And so we're separated from it, and that separation is something that we feel as the sense of time. And then there's also these disparities of form between us, these spiritual differences and conflicts between us. This shattering, to use the Kabbalistic term, this shattering between us gives us a sense of everything is separated. There are many. It's not one creation. There's many different things. That is what creates the construct of space in the material experience of our world. When we begin to identify that we're actually are pieces of one thing, that we are indeed all one, when we begin to practice this inner work, this spiritual development of our consciousness, when we begin to identify that you and me and all of humanity and all of nature are one thing, time and space will once again dissolve, because they weren't there to begin with. Yeah, there we go. One who directs his desire towards the spiritual rises above time. And to the extent that he rises, the differences between the potential and the actual fade until there's no difference whatsoever. Okay, there's a lot to interpret here. This is from Rav Kook, but to make it a concluding sentence, as we begin to work on our connection, time and space, which are illusions as science identifies, illusions that result from our separation and shattering as Kabbalists identify. As we begin to reconnect and become one again, time and space will disappear as well. And we will begin to experience ourselves as a completely different kind of existence, not separated individual material beings, but rather a collective, non material entity that is one with the force that created it.